figure fans, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Marvel Legends X-Men Age of Apocalypse, Nate Gray, otherwise known as X-Man. For the package, very similar to all the Marvel Legend figures. Got that nice open window, which allows you to see the figure as well as his accessories, that being Sugar Man's, well, one set of his arms. Come around to the side, you got a really cool stylized image of X-Man or Nate Gray. Got Apocalypse up there. Side here has that same image. Come around the back of the package. And it says Nate Gray travels between dimensions armed with astonishing psychic powers. And then you see you got all the other figures in this wave that allow you to build Sugar Man. An absolutely powerful, formidable character. But for the packaging on him, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have X-Man, otherwise known as Nate Gray, open up and out of his packaging. Now, Nate was artificially created by Mr. Sinister, who at the time was one of the Horsemen of Apocalypse. As I mentioned in my review of Jean Grey, he was able to extract her genetic material and combine it with one of his captains of sorts, who most of us know as Cyclops, to create the ultimate telepath and telekinetic, hoping that he could use Nate in his ultimate plan to overthrow Apocalypse and take over himself. Now, Cyclops had always kind of shown a prevalence for doing good. It actually helped Nate here escape Mr. Sinister, despite the fact that he had no idea of their connection. Nate eventually wound up with Forge, who basically became a father sort of figure for Nate and began the long process of teaching him how to control his powers and protecting him from using them kind of indiscriminately, because the power of him would have easily been detected by Apocalypse. Now, during his time with Forge and the Outcasts, he eventually met up with a traveler named Essex, who, if you are a fan of the X-Men, you know who somebody named Essex is going to be. It was Mr. Sinister in disguise, following him around to basically keep track of his progress, who oftentimes encouraged Nate to use his powers, going against what he had learned from Forge, because Sinister wanted to see the extent of his power. The problem, though, is much like Forge was worried about, using his powers did in fact alert Apocalypse to his existence. So Apocalypse sent one of his troops named Domino to either recruit Nate or to kill him. That failed. Nate proved to be way too powerful. But through all of this, Forge ended up getting killed by Essex, who then at that time revealed himself to be Mr. Sinister. And seeing his father figure Forge be killed at his hands, Nate seemingly killed Mr. Sinister. Finding out what his purpose was because of Sinister, Nate decided that he was going to destroy Apocalypse. It was that journey to that battle that Nate finally did meet his genetic parents, Scott and Jean. Now, Nate and Jean instantly recognized each other because there was a telepathic connection, and he had hoped to catch up with them as they were trying to escape later on, but that ended up not happening as well. During the battle, Nate did eventually rescue Magneto, who did recognize him as the boy that Forge earlier had promised to send him as one of the X-Men. Then as Nate battled Apocalypse's son Holocaust, one of the tools to kind of restore the universe was the M'Kron crystal, or at least a shard of it. And Nate impaled Holocaust with that shard. What ended up happening though was it took both Nate as well as Holocaust and kind of took them out of the Age of Apocalypse universe, and when everything resorted back to the regular Prime universe, it was revealed that that's where these guys went, which a mutant this powerful instantly was picked up by telepaths like Professor X and Jean Grey, and it sent on a whole new adventure. Now for the figure, absolutely terrific figure. For the accessories, he comes with I want to say that these are the upper arms of the Sugar Man figure. I don't know why his finger is bent. That looks a little bit weird. I'll probably have to heat that up because that looks really goofy. But gorgeous detail on here. You can see that. He's got a lot of sculpted in detail, almost looking like hair on his arm. I mean, it comes across more as looking like scratches, or scars, I guess you could say. But you got this hand, you got some rings on there. This one is a clutching sort of thing. Both hands have a loosely attached belt thing on there. Really very nice. You can see like a lot of veins sculpted in. He's got like a little wart right there. I mean, we'll get into more of the details about Sugarman, as he was a character that was debuted in the Age of Apocalypse series, much like Nate here is, or specifically X-Man. But you do have those. And then for the figure, now again, I don't have a lot of Marvel Legend figures, so I do not know necessarily if there's a lot of reused parts. The upper torso, at least this part here, reminds me a lot of what the 1990s Havoc wore. I do have that. I mean, I could probably bring it out for comparison, but just looking at the overall figure, absolutely love it. Really unique head sculpt here, bringing in a little bit closer to get a good look at that. One thing that I love is this effect coming out from his eye. I mean, that's really cool. It's permanently attached to it, but he created a lot of power, and when that would happen, it would like kind of bleed through his eye. So I love the fact that they included in there. Very iconic look for him. You got the white hair right here in the front, followed by the brown here in the back. Kind of got a little buzz cut. Got that ugly thing going here with the back of the neck. I don't know why they're doing that. That just... It's like the peg is too big. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. The suit-wise, though, like I said, looks very similar to that Havoc one. Doesn't bother me all that much. It's mostly blue here with a lot of yellow bits. You got a nice belt right there. It is kind of a separate piece, as you can see, so it doesn't really hinder articulation. You still have that upper diaphragm bend, which is nice. The legs here look really good. Again, probably just a lot of reused parts. I do like how they have his hand sculpted in a psychic kind of thing, and then you have a fist right here, which does work for the character. If you have extra hands, I mean, they just peg in there, so you can swap that out if you didn't want to have that on there. I mean, I'm perfectly okay with it. It's a good posing sort of hand, but really a very solid looking figure. Now I do, because I have it sitting right here, I am gonna bring in his mother. Here she is, Jean Grey, and you can see that obviously a female figure, so a little bit smaller, but these look really very, very cool together. It's not the I mean, obviously all of my Age of Apocalypse figures are going to be displayed together. However, I'm probably not going to have her standing next to him. I'm going to save that for another sort of display. For his articulation, the head is on a ball joint. You can get a lot of range of motion because you have a very big gap right there. You do have that hinge, so you can get a wide range of motion up and down. You have the pin hinge joints here for the shoulder. You can see that the sleeves don't really have any kind of restriction because the jacket part is a separate piece, which is really nice. You do have a rotation at the upper part of the bicep. You got two bends at the elbow, which is nice. Wrists rotate around and then they hinge forward and back. You do have an upper diaphragm joint. Like I said, this really isn't restrictive for the most part. You can also still rotate it a little bit loose in the rotation, but there is like a ratchet joint there, so it kind of holds the position. It's just a little bit loose in between the joints. You got the hips move forward, back, in and out. It doesn't really go back too far. I mean, it goes back further than like a female character, but that's about it. Rotates at the upper part of the thigh. Two bends here at the knee. You got a boot cut, although it's not really a boot because it's just all basically like one piece of the leg, so I don't know how that works. You do have the ankles, and you also do have that little ankle pivot thing. He also has a thing where it's you kind of have to put it in between the ratchets to get him to stand properly. He also seems to have like slightly smaller feet, so it is a little annoying, but the overall figure is still fantastic. The character was really fun and exciting in it as well. Very powerful. One of the most powerful mutants that we've ever gotten. And unique. I mean, obviously we know that Cable is also the son of sorts of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. This X-Man is different than Cable. Obviously a different life creates a different sort of personality. So while yes, he's kinda the same character of sorts, he really isn't. And I like him. I thought that he was really exciting, like I said, in the comic series. So if you're a fan of the X-Men, I would add him because he did leave the Age of Apocalypse universe and then did have a run in the regular universe. So you might have a connection there. I like it that it kind of transcends both of those universes, so it fits in kind of any display that you would really want. Obviously for me, he's going to go in my Age of Apocalypse display. So I would absolutely recommend him. Plus, if you want Sugar Man, you got to get him. So all that being said, if X-Man here is a figure that you would like to add to your collection, he will be hitting various retail locations fairly soon. So if you are looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, do it real easy. Go online to places such as Big Bad Toy Store. For that, I'll put a link right down in the video description where you can go there and check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Marvel Legend figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do one small thing for me, and that's simply just to hit that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, I want to send a huge shout out to all of my patrons, who through their continued support, now more than ever, help to make reviews like this possible. And finally, remember, the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.